The year was 2143. Earth had spread its reach far into the galaxy. Dozens of colonies now floated in space, some on moons, some on giant space stations, and some on living planets. But one thing had never changed. Governments still gave missions. Nobody wanted. Jack Reeve sat in silence inside a cold, gray shuttle. He stared out the window as stars zipped past. His hands rested on his lap, and his face held no expression. A small hologram hovered in front of him, displaying a mission file. Mission, Civilian Outreach Location, Planet G88, coding name, Corinne's. Nest, Objective, teach basic survival to local species, Viren threat level, low duration. 4 months. Jack sighed. Babysitting aliens, he muttered. He was a former combat instructor, once part of Earth's Special Force Unit, known as the Black Wing. He had trained soldiers on Mars, survived pirate attacks in the asteroid belts, and fought during the siege of Europa. And now? He was being sent to teach how to build fires and shelters to a race of peaceful aliens who lived on a foggy planet no one had heard of. The mission was quiet. Too quiet. He had asked for something challenging, a war zone, a rescue op, even planetary mining security. But this, low risk. No threat, the council said. They just need someone with survival knowledge. You'll be back in 4 months. Easy paycheck. Jack didn't believe in easy paychecks. The shuttle AI voice broke the silence. Approaching Corinne's nest. Atmospheric entry into -2 minutes. Jack adjusted his belt and checked his sidearm. It was standard issue, a plasma pistol, mostly for scaring off wild animals. Still, he charged it fully. Old habits die hard. He looked once more at the mission file. No mention of predators. No history of violence. Just a calm race of herbivores called the VIREN. So why did he feel uneasy? The shuttle began its descent. Thick clouds covered the planet. Gray mist swirled like ghost smoke, wrapping around the shuttle like fingers. Jack squinted. He couldn't see the surface. As the shuttle passed through the clouds, he saw it at last. Green forests stretched for miles. Towering blue trees danced with the wind. Strange white birds with glowing wings flew in circles. The land looked untouched, beautiful. Too peaceful. The shuttle landed near a small village built of stone, wood, and vines. No technology in sight. Dozens of tall, thin aliens stood waiting. They looked half human, half insect-like, blue skin, long black eyes, and arms that split into 4 fingers like petals. They bowed. Jack stepped out. He gave a quick wave. Jack Reeve, I'm your new instructor. A Viren stepped forward. This one was older, his eyes slower to blink. We know who you are, the elder said in clear English. We asked for help long ago, but none came, until now. Jack frowned. That wasn't in the file. I thought this was a new outreach? No, the elder said. Your kind promised to return years ago, but they never did. So we learned to wait. Jack didn't like the sound of that. Still, he followed them into the village. They had built it deep in the forest, hidden between cliffs and mist. No walls, no guards, no weapons. They trusted nature to protect them. But something about the way they moved, the way they looked over their shoulders, felt off. These weren't calm people. These were scared people pretending to be calm. That night, the village held a welcome feast. Alien fruits, roasted roots, soft music made from bone flutes. Jack sat with the elder, who introduced himself as Vel. You are here to teach us survival? Vel asked. That's the job, Jack said. Fire building, shelter design, first aid, basic defense. Nothing too advanced, Vel nodded. We are thankful, but we fear it may not be enough. Enough for what? Jack asked. Vel looked away. They come sometimes from the sky. Jack paused. Who? The elder said nothing. A child sitting nearby suddenly spoke. Her voice was soft, like wind in the trees. They come when the stars blink. Jack turned to her. What do you mean? She pointed to the sky. When the stars blink, she repeated. They come, and we must hide. Vel stood quickly. Enough stories for tonight. The stars do not blink, not anymore. But Jack looked up. The sky was clear now. But it didn't feel normal. The stars did seem strange. Some flickered as if struggling to stay lit. Others moved slowly. Too slowly for meteors. Too fast for satellites. Something wasn't right. The next day, Jack began his training sessions. He taught the Viren how to use ropes, how to build shelters from branches, how to store food for long winters. They learned fast. Too fast, he noticed. Something else. They already knew some of these skills. Where'd you learn that? Not? He asked one of the young Viren. My father taught me, the boy replied. He said the first humans taught him. Jack froze. There were other humans here? Yes, long ago, before I was born. Jack walked straight to Vel's home. You lied to me, he said. Vel nodded slowly. We did not lie. We only said less than we knew. Why? Because we needed to see what kind of man you were, Vel said. Some men bring war. Others bring wisdom. We hoped for the second. Jack took a breath. What happened to the first group? Vel looked at the ground. They never came back. That night, Jack walked alone to the edge of the village. The mist was thick. Trees whispered in the dark. He looked up again. The stars blinked. Not like before. This time, one of them vanished completely. And then came back. Jack's hand reached for his pistol. He suddenly heard something. A low hum, mechanical, slow, and not coming from Earth. He ran back to the village when he arrived. The people were already inside their huts, doors locked with vines and stone. Vel stood waiting for him. They're here, Vel whispered. Who are they? Jack asked. The ones we cannot name, Vel replied. The ones who burn and take and leave nothing behind. You need to evacuate, Jack said. Now Vel shook his head. There's nowhere left to run. Not this time. Jack's heart pounded. He looked to the forest. A red light glowed. In the trees, not fire, something else, something alive. Suddenly, the sky roared. A shadow passed over the village, big enough to block the moonlight. It moved slowly, like a ship, but with no sound. Then it was gone. Silence returned. Vel whispered, They are watching. Jack turned to him. You knew this would happen. Why didn't you warn Earth? We did, Vel said. They did not. Listen, so now we turn to you. Jack looked at the stars again. They blinked once more. And for the first time, Jack Reeve felt like he wasn't just a trainer. He was being watched. And maybe, just maybe, he had walked into something far more dangerous than war. Jack Reeve didn't sleep that night. He sat outside his hut with his pistol across his knees, eyes locked on the sky. The stars above looked normal again, still, silent, but he knew what he saw. One had vanished, then reappeared. That wasn't a trick of the eye. He turned to the village. The Viren had locked themselves away before sunset. No one spoke, no laughter, no music, just silence, as if something might hear them. Jack hated silence like that. It reminded him of war. By morning, the mist was thick. Jack stood outside Vel's hut, arms crossed. When the old Viren opened the door, Jack didn't wait. What was that in the sky last night? Vel looked tired, older than yesterday. I told you, he said. They come when the stars blink. That's not an answer, Jack said. What are they? Pirates? Military? Hunters? Something native? Vel looked around, then gestured Jack inside. They sat at a low wooden table. On the walls were carved symbols, spirals, circles, jagged shapes, and ships. Some looked like stars exploding. Others showed creatures Jack had never seen. Vel spoke slowly. They come from below the stars. They don't speak. They don't trade. They don't warn. They only take. Jack listened carefully. When they arrive, they circle the sky. Always. Just one. Silent. Black. Like it's made of shadow. Sometimes they stay for hours. Sometimes days. Then they disappear. But each time, someone from the village is gone. Gone? Jack asked. As in missing? Vel nodded. Without sound, without fight. No trace, no sign. Jack frowned. And Earth didn't know? Vel's voice dropped to a whisper. We told them, a long time ago. They sent people, like you. Jack leaned in. What happened to them? Vel stared at him. We found their weapons in the forest. Their bones too. Jack stood slowly. You should have told me this before I came. You would not have come, Vel replied. No one else did. Jack didn't answer. He left the hut and walked straight toward the training fields. He found 6 Viren already waiting, young, curious, and eager. They were ready to learn. All right, he said, voice sharp. Today we change the plan. They looked at him. Confused. No more basic shelters. No more fire drills. Starting now, I'm teaching you how to fight. The Viren blinked. Fight? One asked. Yes, Jack said. Weapons, movement, tracking. If someone tries to take you, you won't. Just vanish. You'll fight back. They looked unsure. We are not warriors, another said. Jack stared at them. Then you'd better learn fast. Because something is watching you. He began with basic tactics, how to move quietly, how to spot patterns. In the forest, how to use long sticks as spears. The Viren learned quickly. They were smart and moved with surprising grace, but their hands trembled when they held weapons. That night, Jack walked to the edge of the village again. The trees whispered, as if alive. He set up motion sensors around the perimeter, old military. Tools he never thought he'd use again. Then he sat, silent. Waiting. 2 hours passed. Nothing. 3 hours. Then, a sound. Like air tearing. He rose. The motion sensor blinked red. Jack grabbed his pistol and ran toward the trees. He crouched low, behind a stone wall, and scanned the forest. There between 2 trees stood a figure, not a Viren. Not human. It was tall, almost 7 feet. Black skin that looked like metal but moved like liquid. No eyes, no mouth. Its arms were long, too long, and bent the wrong way. It didn't walk. It floated. Jack aimed his pistol but didn't fire. The creature turned its head slowly toward him. Jack froze. Then, as silently as it came, it faded into the mist. Gone. No sound, no footprints, no trace. Jack ran back to the sensor. The log was corrupted, scrambled like someone had erased the data in real time. What the hell is this place? He whispered. In the morning, he returned to Vel. I saw it. Vel nodded. Now you believe. What are they? Jack asked. Not just hunters. They moved like ghosts. Vel walked to a cabinet and pulled out a cloth scroll. He unrolled it slowly. The drawing showed a tall black figure with red eyes and long arms. Behind it, burning trees and falling stars. These came before, Vel said. When we first made contact with the stars. When the first human ship came. You mean they followed Earth ships? Vel nodded. Or perhaps they waited for Earth to return. Jack didn't understand. Why would they wait? What do they want? We don't know, Vel said. But they don't take food, not tools, not even gold. Jack leaned forward. Then what do they take? Vel paused. They take memories. Jack blinked. What? Vel pointed to his head. Not just bodies, minds. We forget the people they take. Faces vanish from our memory. Only their families remember. Jack's heart sank. That wasn't war. That was something darker. He stood up. I need to contact Earth Command. Vel shook his head. No signal works here. They block it, then I'll find a way. That night, Jack returned to the forest edge with a high-frequency satellite beacon. He climbed a nearby cliff to set it up above the trees. Maybe, just maybe, it would cut through the fog. He activated it. No response. He adjusted the angle. Still nothing. But then something beeped. An incoming message. Text. Only. One line. Do not trust the council. Jack's blood turned cold. The signal vanished. He tried to trace it, but it was gone. Like it never existed. Back in the village, the Viren gathered around a fire. They looked uneasy. Jack told them nothing. Not yet. He just stared at the stars. And once again, they blinked. The sky cracked at dawn. It began with a sharp rumble, low and slow, like thunder rolling through rock. Jack Reeve shot awake. The ground beneath the village shook for just a moment. Dust fell from the roof of his hut. He jumped to his feet, grabbed his plasma pistol, and stepped outside. The Viren were already gathering, looking up toward the mountains. A dark trail of smoke twisted in the sky, rising slowly, curling into the clouds. Something had fallen from orbit. Jack's instincts kicked. In he sprinted through the fog, past confused villagers, and up toward the ridge. The smoke led him toward the high cliffs that bordered the forest. Dangerous terrain. A young Viren named Aruan caught up with him. What is it? Jack didn't slow. Something came through the atmosphere. Could be a ship. Could be something worse. Together, they reached the edge of the cliff. Jack pulled out his scope and scanned the valley below. His eyes narrowed. Wreckage. A small black object had crashed into the earth, partially buried, still smoking. But it wasn't one of Earth's ships. The design was foreign. No markings, no windows. Just a jagged surface that shimmered like oil. Aruan whispered, "Is it one of them?" Jack didn't answer. He activated his scanner. No energy readings. No life signs, but the materials are unstable. He turned to Aruan. "Go back. Tell Vel to keep the villagers inside." Aruan hesitated. "What will you do?" Jack checked his sidearm. "I'm going down." He climbed carefully down the cliff face, using old rope left behind by earlier missions. The air grew colder with each step. The wind blew harder. As he reached the base of the cliff, the fog thinned just enough to reveal the object fully. It was shaped like a claw, curved, sharp and alien. It pulsed softly with light. Jack raised his pistol and stepped closer. The surface moved. He froze. Seams split down the center of the object and slowly opened. Inside was no cockpit, no pilot, just a glowing orb suspended in the air, humming quietly. Jack's scanner flickered, then died. He cursed and reached for a containment bag. He carefully stepped forward, trying to isolate the orb. But as his hand neared it, the orb reacted. It flashed bright white, and suddenly Jack's mind filled with images. Not memories. Visions. He saw the village burning. He saw the Viren running. Saw himself surrounded by shadows with red eyes. Then darkness. He collapsed. Seconds passed. Or minutes. He didn't know. When he woke, he was on the ground. The orb was gone. The claw-like shell had vanished into mist. Jack sat up, head pounding. What the hell just happened? He climbed back up the ridge and returned to the village. Vel was waiting. "You saw it?" Vel asked. Jack nodded. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. A probe. Maybe a warning. Vel looked toward the mountains. "They are getting closer." "No," Jack said. "They're already here." He gathered the villagers and began reinforcing the village's defenses. They sharpened wood into spears, built traps at the outer edges, and dug deep trenches. But Jack knew it wouldn't be enough. That night, he replayed the images in his mind. The visions hadn't been dreams. They were messages. The enemy didn't just come from above. They came from the mind. Vel entered Jack's hut quietly. "You saw them, didn't you? Not just with your eyes." Jack nodded slowly. "They showed. And me things," he said. "They got inside my head." Vel sat beside him. That is how they conquer, without weapons, without fire. They make us afraid. They break our thoughts. And then we forget we were ever strong. Jack stared at the floor. They want you to feel helpless. Vel's voice was firm. They want us to believe we have already lost. But Jack wasn't ready to give up. The next morning, he took a group of 5 young Viren Aruan among them and led them deep into the forest. He had one goal: find the truth. Somewhere on this planet, Earth had left behind records, equipment, maybe even survivors from the first team that vanished years ago. He had to know what happened. After hours of walking, they reached an old outpost. It was half swallowed by trees. Rusted metal doors, broken antenna, shattered solar panels. Jack forced the door open. Inside were bones. Human bones. He knelt beside them. Dust coated the floor. His gloved fingers found a cracked datapad beneath a pile of leaves. He powered it up. Surprisingly, it worked. A single file played. This is Commander Lyra on Special Recon Unit 6. If anyone finds this, leave. Do not stay. These creatures, whatever they are not physical. They are memory thieves. They erase your past, your name, your purpose. My team is gone. Not killed, erased. I forget their faces every day. I write this now. But I may not remember writing it. The recording ended. Jack stared at the screen. She'd known. She had fought it. But Earth had left them behind. His stomach twisted. He stood and turned to the others. We're not just training for survival anymore, he said. We're fighting for identity. Arun looked confused. What does that mean? It means, Jack said, they don't just want your body. They want to erase who you are. They burned the outpost that night so no one else would suffer the same fate. When they returned to the village, Jack was quiet. Vel met him at the entrance. They are moving again, Vel said. We feel it in our sleep, in our dreams. Jack looked at him. Then we stopped waiting. He began drawing plans. Not for shelters, not for traps, for war. The nights on Corin's nest had always been quiet, too quiet. But tonight, the silence was broken. Jack Reeves stood at the edge of the village, his eyes fixed on the dark forest that wrapped around them like a cage. The mist was thick, hiding everything beyond a few feet. His heart beat fast, but his face was steady. He had learned that fear was a weapon the enemy used. To fight them, he needed to be calm. The village was awake. Every Viren, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, was gathered inside their huts. Jack had ordered them to stay close, keep low, and be ready. We fight together, he told Vel and the others, or we fall alone. Vel nodded. Our people have waited too long. For this, now is the time. Jack's hand rested on his plasma pistol, but he knew it would not be enough. The enemy was not like any soldier he had faced before. They did not move like soldiers. They moved like shadows in the mind. Suddenly, a low sound echoed through the trees. It was soft, but it cut through the silence like a blade. Jack held his breath. The mist moved. Shapes appeared. Dark shapes, gliding between the trees, almost invisible but for the faintest shimmer. The ghostly figures moved slowly but with deadly purpose. They're here, whispered Aruan, the young Viren who had become Jack's closest companion. Jack raised his pistol and fired a warning shot into the air. The sound cracked through the night like thunder. The creatures stopped. For a moment, the forest was still. Then they struck. Invisible to most, the shadows moved inside the village, closing doors, wrapping around huts, slipping through cracks. Like smoke. Jack and the Viren could only see faint outlines and shimmering lights where the enemies passed. Jack barked orders. Form the circle. Protect the elders and children. Don't let them vanish. The Viren grabbed their weapons, wooden spears, makeshift bows, and a few knives Jack had taught them to use. But the enemy was fast. One moment, a Viren would be standing strong. The next, gone. No screams. No struggle. Just silence. Jack ran through the village, shouting their names, pulling them back into the circle. This is no ordinary fight, Jack said. They attack the mind. They steal your memory before your body disappears. Vel, standing beside him, added, We must hold. Remember who we are. The battle lasted hours. The mist thickened. Jack felt cold seep into his bones, but he pushed on. Then, in the middle of the chaos, something unexpected happened. A young Viren girl named Lyra froze. Her eyes glazed over, and she fell to the ground. Jack rushed to her side. Lyra, stay with me. She looked at him with blank eyes. Suddenly, her body shuddered. And then, her eyes cleared. She whispered, I remember. I see. Jack helped her up. What do you see? They are afraid, she said. They don't want us strong. Jack's eyes narrowed. Then we will be. The dawn broke with the enemy retreating into the forest, leaving a shaken but unbroken village behind. Jack looked at the sky as the first light hit the blue trees. The stars were quiet, for now. He knew this was just the beginning. He turned to the Viren. This war is ours, he said. We will fight it, not just for survival, but for memory, for hope, for our future. Vel stepped forward. And you, Jack Reeve, what will you be? Jack looked into the rising sun. I will be the last line. The village was quiet in the morning light, but the air was heavy with tension. Jack Reeve stood at the center of the clearing, looking over the tired faces of the Viren. Their eyes were wide with fear, but also with something new, hope, last. Night's battle had changed them. Aruan stepped forward, rubbing his arm where the shadow had tried to take him. They attacked my mind again, but this time I felt something different. Jack raised an eyebrow. Different how? Aruan looked at the sky. I fought them back. I could see their thoughts like whispers, and I pushed them away. Vel nodded slowly. Our people have waited for this moment. The awakening. The power inside us, buried for generations, is stirring. Jack was puzzled. What power? Vel led them to an old stone circle deep in the forest. The stones were covered with ancient symbols and glowing faintly under the rising sun. This place holds the spirit of our ancestors, Vel said. Long ago, our people could protect their minds. They could block the thieves. But over time, fear and silence took that power away. Jack looked at the stones. Can you teach me? Vel smiled faintly. You must learn. If you want to protect us, you need to understand more than weapons. Over the next days, Jack trained with the Viren, not just in combat, but in meditation and focus. The Viren showed him how to quiet his mind, to shield his thoughts from the enemy's reach. Aruan and Lyra practiced alongside him. Slowly, they began to see changes. When the shadows appeared, the Viren no longer froze. They faced the darkness with a new light in their eyes. One night, Jack was woken by a sudden chill. Outside, the mist rolled in thick and fast. He grabbed his pistol and stepped out. The village was quiet, but the air felt charged. Then he heard a voice, a soft whisper in his mind. Jack Reeve. He spun around, looking for the source. No one. The voice came again, clearer this time. You must choose. Jack's heart pounded. Choose what? He whispered aloud. Suddenly, the air shimmered. Before him appeared a figure, transparent, glowing with blue light. Who are you? Jack asked. I am the echo of Commander Lyra, An. The figure said, your connection to Earth's lost past. Jack's mind raced. The woman from the datapad. I have been trapped here, in memory, the echo said. I warn you, the Council on Earth knows more than they say. They watch you. They fear what you have become. Jack's fists clenched. What do you want me to do? Find the hidden archive, the echo said. There lies the truth about the enemy and the weapon that can end this war. Where is it? In the ruins of the first colony. But beware, Earth's agents are coming. They will stop anyone who seeks the truth. The figure faded. Jack stood alone, staring into the night. The war was no longer just about survival. It was about trust and the secrets buried deep beneath the stars. The sun was low in the sky, painting the horizon orange as Jack Reeve and a small group of Viren set off toward the ruins of the first human colony on Corinne's Nest. The forest was dense, but their path was clear, leading to a place long forgotten by most. Jack carried a worn datapad, the last message from Commander Lyra On's Echo still fresh in his mind. The hidden archive was said to hold answers. Answers that could end the silent war with the shadow creatures, the memory thieves. Arun walked beside Jack, glancing nervously at the thick trees. "Do you think the archive is really there?" he asked. Jack tightened his grip on his pistol. "I have to believe it. It's the only way we survive." The group moved carefully, alert for any signs of the enemy. The forest grew quieter. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. Hours passed. Finally, they reached the edge of a ruined city, swallowed by vines and moss. Crumbling buildings stood like skeletons against the darkening sky. Jack's heart pounded. This was the place Earth had abandoned. The first colony lost without a trace, until now. They entered a large building, half collapsed, but with a heavy metal door still sealed tight. Jack tapped his datapad. The Echo's voice whispered through the speaker, "The key is inside the door's lock. Look for the symbol of the spiral and star." Jack scanned the door and found a small engraving, a spiral wrapping around a five-pointed star. He pressed the symbol. The door creaked open, revealing a dark hallway. Inside, dust hung in the air like smoke. The walls were lined with ancient computers and holographic projectors, most shattered or dead. Jack moved forward, activating a small flashlight on his wrist. Suddenly, the lights flickered to life. A hologram appeared. It showed a woman. Commander Lyra On, standing firm. "This is the hidden archive," her voice echoed. "If you see this, Earth's council has failed you. The shadow creatures are real. They are a threat to all life in the galaxy." Jack watched, eyes fixed. Lyra continued, "Our weapons could not stop them. Our soldiers vanished without trace. The creatures are not just enemies. They are a force that eats memory and will. But there is hope." The hologram showed a small device, a glowing orb similar to the one Jack had seen at the crash site. "This is the mind shard. It can block the creature's power and protect minds. But it requires a host, someone strong, someone willing to bear the burden." Jack's breath caught. "Who will be the host?" Arun asked quietly. The hologram flickered. Lyra's voice was soft but determined. "Only the one chosen by fate. The last hope." Jack swallowed hard. He realized what the Echo meant. He was not just a trainer. He was meant to be the weapon. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind them. Jack spun around. Earth's agents had found them. Dark figures stepped into the light, armed, dangerous, and unyielding. "You cannot take the archive," the lead agent said. "Stand down, or be eliminated." Jack raised his pistol. "This ends now." The fight began. Gunshots echoed through the ruins. The Viren fought fiercely, using the training Jack had given them. But the agents were well armed, with weapons Jack had never seen before. Jack ducked behind a pillar and reached for the mind shard on the floor. He grasped the orb. A warm light spread through his body. Suddenly, his mind cleared. The shadow creatures appeared, but this time, Jack could see their true form, writhing shapes of darkness, trying to break into his thoughts. But the mind shard shielded him. He raised his pistol, aimed, and fired at the agents. The battle was fierce, but with the mind shard's power, Jack fought like never before. When the dust settled, the agents lay defeated. Jack looked at the glowing orb in his hand. He knew the war had only just begun. But now, he had a weapon. He was ready. The village of Corinne's Nest buzzed with urgency. Jack Reeves stood in the center of the gathering, his hand tightly clutching the glowing mind shard. The artifact's gentle pulse was a constant reminder of the heavy burden he now carried. The fate of the Viren rested on his shoulders. The enemy was coming. Jack knew it. From the distant horizon, dark clouds rolled in like an unstoppable wave. But these were no ordinary storms. They carried with them a threat older and deadlier than anything the Viren had faced before. Jack turned to Vel and Erwin, who stood at his side. "This is it," Jack said, his voice low but steady. "We fight here. We fight now." Vel's eyes shone with fierce determination. "Our ancestors watch us. They will stand with us." The Viren warriors gathered around, sharpening spears and readying bows, their faces painted with symbols of protection. Jack addressed them all. "Remember what you fight for. Not just your lives, but your minds, your memories, your future. The shadow creatures want to erase everything you are. But we will not let them." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the first signs of movement appeared in the forest. Shadows slipped through the trees like liquid darkness. The ghost war was about to begin. Jack raised the mind shard high. A bright light burst forth, cutting through the mist. The shadows recoiled, hissing as if burned by an unseen fire. The Viren charged forward. The battle was brutal. The shadow creatures struck at their minds, whispering lies, stealing memories, trying to break their spirits. But the mind shard protected Jack and those closest to him. The Viren fought with new courage, their hearts stronger than ever. Jack felt the power of the shard flow through him. He could sense the creatures' thoughts, their fear, their hatred. "You cannot win," Jack shouted, "because we remember who we are." The creatures wailed in rage and lunged forward. Jack met them head-on, firing his plasma pistol, the glowing orb amplifying his strength. Around him, the Viren pushed back the darkness. But then, a terrifying roar echoed through the night. From the forest's edge, a giant shadow rose, larger than any creature they had seen. Its eyes burned red with hatred. Jack's breath caught. This was their leader, the source of the shadow plague. Vel shouted, "Hold the line! Protect Jack!" The battle grew fiercer. The giant shadow moved fast, striking down Viren warriors with cruel blows. Jack felt the mind shard grow hot in his hand. The power inside him surged. He stepped forward, standing face to face with the shadow leader. The creature reached out, but Jack raised the orb, releasing a pulse of bright energy. The giant howled and staggered back. Jack focused all his will into the mind shard. A brilliant light surrounded him, pushing back the darkness. The shadow leader screamed in pain and fury, then slowly dissolved into nothingness. The remaining shadows fled into the forest, broken and defeated. The battle was over. The Viren cheered, their voices rising in victory. Jack looked around at the exhausted but alive faces. "We won," he said softly. "But this war will never truly end. We must always remember. We must always fight." Vel clasped Jack's shoulder. "You are our last hope, Jack, and we will stand with you." Jack looked up at the stars. For the first time since he arrived, he felt peace. The Viren had found their strength, and so had he. The sun rose slowly over Corinne's Nest, painting the sky with warm shades of orange and pink. The battle was over, but the scars remained both on the land and in the hearts of the Viren. Jack Reeves stood at the edge of the village, the glowing mind shard resting quietly in his palm. It had saved them. It had turned the tide. But it had also changed everything. The Viren gathered around him. They were tired but alive. Their faces showed relief, but also something deeper, a new hope. Vel stepped forward and spoke softly. "Jack, you came here as a stranger. You were sent to train us. But now you are part of us, our leader, our last hope." Jack shook his head slowly. "I am no leader. I am just a man trying to do what's right." Arum smiled. You are more than that. You have our trust. Jack looked into the faces of the people he had come to care for so deeply. The small, brave creatures who had fought alongside him. He felt a warmth he had not known for a long time. The echo of Commander Lyra An had told him about Earth's council, how they feared the enemy and the power he now carried. But here, with the Viren, Jack found something else. Trust. Family. He raised the mind shard. This war is far from over. The darkness will try to return, but we will be ready. Together. The village elders nodded. They would teach their young to remember, to protect their minds, and to stand strong. Over the coming days, Jack helped the Viren rebuild what was lost. They repaired homes, tended to the wounded, and planted new crops. The scars of war slowly began to fade. One evening, Jack stood beneath the stars, thinking about the future. Would Earth ever send help? Or would they see Corin's nest as a lost cause? The answer did not matter anymore. Here, on this distant world, Jack had found purpose. He was no longer just a soldier sent on a mission no one wanted. He was the shield that stood between a people and the darkness. He was their last hope. And as the first light of a new dawn touched the blue trees, Jack smiled, because this was only the beginning, the end.